Down a game in the series to the top or left of the map. We currently see the Zerg player.
Samsung Galaxy RorO.
RorO down a game. A lot of people not expecting that. This guy's GSL pin, as he is a champion, as I mentioned before.
And starting to the bottom right, we have his opponent with the 1-0 lead in the series. Successful already. CJ enters Hydra.
Wow, you were good at that.
Someone had to step it up after Street Fighter Voice apparently had a problem here. Looks like we have a camera sound problem. I had for a second.
Yeah, I think it's okay now. Well, you know, Hydra was a pretty successful StarCraft 1 player, and he's transitioned over into StarCraft 2. He blossomed later than RorO, who was one of the first really successful Kessel players.
Another point is that RorO in general in this matchup, I mean, RorO already won a GSL, he won a Codas, so therefore he is of course here a little bit the favorite player since he has more experience and more success in Heart of the Swarm and in StarCraft 2 in general. But if you look at the statistics too, we have 24 maps played for Hydra and only a 45% win ratio, where RorO himself with roughly 20 played has 57, so there's a pretty huge difference between the win ratio for the two players here. And RorO with his added experience should definitely be the favorite in the series. But so far, Hydra was just playing a very solid game and made it kind of look easy. RorO may be a bit too greedy there, arguably, but still, like, that was well played by Hydra.
You know, he's definitely playing the player. I feel like he knows that when it comes to beating RorO in this matchup in the late game, it's not a good place to be for most players. I mean, RorO won that GSL with ZVZs, arguably, so it's, you know, the caliber of players we're talking about, those stats are very different from these two, I feel, as well. But as of late, Hydra's been impressing. Has a better win ratio overall. And I like his choice to go for the timing attack in Game 1. Now in Game 2,
Hydra has the worst win ratio.
Oh, okay,
by
sorry.
a lot.
What? I thought you said he had 57 in ZVZs.
RorO has 57. Hydra has 45.
Okay, so I totally mixed that up.
No, don't worry.
Anyways, going for, especially considering that now, further goes towards my point of I like his choice to go for an aggressive strategy. It's RorO, on the other hand, this game, who takes the faster gas.
Yeah, RorO with the faster gas, yeah. And one of the things that I found very interesting is that Hydra, after the game, was completely unfazed by his victory. He was just looking really bored at the screen, and he knows exactly that he has not done it yet. He needs to have another win, so he needs to be really focused here, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's not taking anything for granted here, because he needs that victory if he wants to go up against Kango then in the third round of the Challenger League and have his shot at going into the Premier League straight away. And RorO with the earlier speed and also his, of course, gas is not only going into the Speedling build, but he's adding his own Baneling Nest here to make sure that he can go for that. And we still do not have gas for Hydra, and that is a massive, massive problem now.
Yeah, really big problem. I mean, he's going to need, at the very least, a Spine Crawler. He has 3 Queens, but you know, this map has such a wide ramp, it's going to be really easy for our RorO to get up that ramp and attack him whatever angle he wants. There's the first Spine Crawler. He might even want to make 2, to be honest.
What you can do against this build is at least pull 2 or 3 Spine Crawlers basically at the bottom of the ramp, between the ramp and the natural. Then you have a decent chance at defending. But that's something that most people do against Zergling attacks. So if you have Banelings in the mix, even if 2 Queens block the ramp, you can arguably just bust through the Queens together with the Zerglings, and then once you're in the main base, you've won the game. But RorO doesn't really know what's up there. He does not know if there's maybe a Baneling Nest for Hydra at some point too. So he's also going into a double evolution chamber and is adding a third base, so a defensive Baneling Nest. He's not going for aggression here.
Yeah, you know, he kind of faked him out a little bit in some ways here. He chases the Overlords away. Now he knows as well that no Zerglings came to confirm anything, so for him now he knows, okay, well, I'm just going to go into evolution chamber in a third base, and this is going to throw him off. And Hydra now with, you know, he made a Spine Core, that's not useful. His drones are a little bit later.
He cancelled also the Baneling Nest. I would really love to have an observing PC right now, because he must have seen something where he said, you know what, that's not going to happen. The original idea here was definitely to go into a Baneling attack. You do not get the early speed for your Zerglings, the early gas, and go into Baneling Nest if you just want to fake someone out. That's usually just not going to happen. His idea was definitely to go into the Baneling attack, but then either he was scouted with the Baneling Nest, or he scouted something himself that just led him to believe, I cannot do enough damage with this, and then he just fell back into a normal build where he said, okay, I'm going to take my third right now, you're going to play defensive, I'm going to take this third, I'm going to start to take, and that's will give me the lead in the game.
Yeah, by the way, Hydra's doing it again. Very similar timing here. Hitting all the... You know, it's actually just almost mirrored the builds that we see this game, except that RorO didn't actually attack with his Zerglings and cancel the Baneling Nest, but the timings for the upgrades are almost identical. The Roachborn is very late here for RorO, and this timing actually could hit him just as hard as before, especially because he has no scouting information this time about what's happening. He doesn't have that Ling presence, and he has a third base here. If he gets just a little bit more time, and if he gets any idea this is coming, he has plenty of production, he has a third hatchery, he has so much economy right now. He's up 9 workers, he's up 300 minerals a minute, but if he doesn't see it, he's gonna die.
RorO, as soon as that Roach Warren is done, he has to immediately max out on roaches. He has to immediately use those 14 roaches. And he's getting them, alright. So that's his saving grace here. If not for that, he would have lost that game right away. And now he has at least a fighting chance. He's definitely the one with a better tech here. I mean, there's no argument about it. Also, he has that third base. The Queens have already been spotted, and the Queens are chasing the Overlords away. Now the Roaches are about to be revealed, but this time RorO should actually be ready.
And he's got that third base to produce more and more Roaches out of, and with the economy he has, I think he actually has enough time. It's going to be close still. Those Queens will provide some transfuses, but RorO's also got some transfuses on his side to use. He's got the Queens down here and ready.
Things are looking decent. The upgrades are going to be done in just a second. And here we go. The reinforcements, of course, for RorO a little bit faster to the party. And the rest of the units for Hydra is currently streaming in. And this is basically the one hit that he has. But this time, RorO is much better prepared than in the last game. He has that third base. He's starting to transfuse zone Roaches. He's bringing a few drones in, though, to tank damage since he's lacking the Roach numbers. But he's building them as we speak.
Yeah, a few Zerglings coming in here, but I don't think it's going to be enough to actually finish RorO off with the next round of Roaches that pop out. He should be okay.
Yeah, Hydra cannot sustain this army size for very long, whereas RorO has the better income, and he's also in a position where he has the better production. The upgrades are the same now. Zerglings are moving in, but we already have upgrades here for both of the units, and this is just going to be too much. RorO already in a massive lead in army supply, 42 against 20. Yes, he's losing a few units here, but he should be fine with his defense, and then he can still rely on lair tech, on 3 bases, and that is then all she wrote.
Yeah, you're certainly right. I mean, what can Hydra try to transition into here? He doesn't have a lair. He can't get additional upgrades. He can't get roach speed.
Well, he's actually getting the upgrades, and he also started teching again after he moved out, so he's going into roach speed as well. And that's, to me, a little bit surprising. So far, we didn't see the production tab. Yeah. So we just saw the lair tech started. But it's surprising to me that RorO didn't even go into his own upgrades. I was expecting him to start the upgrades, the +2/+2. So I'm a bit surprised to see that Hydra is actually the one who starts his. But RorO still has a much better army, and he doesn't hesitate. He moves immediately across the map and says, like, well, I know exactly what you've got, and you have not the production now. If I wait too long, you can come back. But at this point in time, you are weak.
Yeah, and he takes him where he's weak, like you said, takes advantage of that, and will actually likely end the game here.
He just has to snipe that Roachborn. That's basically what he has to do. If he snipes the Roachborn, then it's already over. Or maybe even Speed! Speed does not finish.
And that's going to be game. There's no way he can sustain the next wave with this without Speed.
Without Roaches, of
without Roaches, too. I mean, he can't survive with the Roaches he has. That's it. GG.
Game over. No Roaches anymore for Hydra. RorO takes this game and was looking much more impressive than in game number 1. This time he saw it coming. He prepared in time. He defended, and then he went for it. What I like, on the other hand, really about what we saw here from Hydra is that his push, the one that worked already in game number 1, that's not a one-hit thing. Like, it's not a one-trick pony. He actually has a very nice follow-up with this.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to be this fast on lair, on speed, and going for the 2-2. So that was quite impressive to see. I feel against a lot of opponents, this works very, very well and catches them completely off guard.
It works really well, especially against what RorO did in game 1, because RorO was busy trying to re-drone. And then he took a third base after the push was coming, but in game number 2, he had the hatchery much faster. It already paid for itself, and then it really worked against Hydra's push. But it's definitely a cool build that he's doing. And since he did it twice in a row, I would not be surprised if we saw it again on Belchevest. It seems like the build he's been practicing.
I don't think he's going to do it. I feel with with RorO already figuring it out in game number 2, it would be too much of a risk to go for the same build 3 times in a row. I don't think he can make that work, because RorO will look out for this.
Yeah, it would be pretty obvious if he does do it.
Then he would actually just show that he really is a one-trick pony.
Yes.
He at least has to mix it up a little bit. Maybe the timing changes just slightly. If he does that, then I'm rather okay with it. But we'll find out now. Game 3 coming up, RorO versus Hydra.